This is the NTEV podcast.
And we're on. This is podcast number 2. Welcome back to the NTEV podcast, your go-to show for everything electric vehicles in the Northern Territory and beyond. My name is Ricky, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host and the Secretary of EVing in the Northern Territory. It is Joe Chin. How are you, Joe?
Oh, good. Thank you, Ricky. Thanks for inviting me back.
This week, we're diving into some exciting EV news. The state of Victoria has scrapped its road user tax for EVs, refunding fees to drivers. A big win for clean transport. Over in WA, the near completion of a massive 98 EV network is set to connect over 4,300 kilometres of remote roads. And here in Darwin, the NT's new mobile EV charging van is already easing range anxiety for local drivers. On the tech front, Tesla has rolled out an Apple Watch app, making it easier than ever to control your EV from your wrist. Their latest holiday software update introduces game-changing features like remote access to Sentry mode footage and a reverse cross-traffic alert system to enhance safety. Whether you're an EV enthusiast or just curious, this episode is packed with insights and updates sharing the future of EVs. So Joe, as you mentioned before we come on air, this coming Saturday the 7th of December, they're doing another Tesla light show. Do you know any further updates on this?
Kevin trying to organise something as such. So he's given us the tick on social media saying that it's going to happen. So it's just all about trying to find a venue. I think they wanted to go to Bidella Beach down at the Vesties as such, but that's actually blocked at the moment because I think they're doing that Cyclone Trace Memorial there was the artwork. So I went down there the other day and I was like, that wasn't a really good spot as such. And I think that maybe they need to find, they can't go to the waterfront because I don't think that's accessible as freely as they like. They just got to find a place that they can light up and do as such and not have any arts vehicles. I thought a good location would be going to Nightcliff Jetty, but of course that gets chocker blocks with ice vehicles going there.
If we find any confirmed details, we will add, maybe if we can, add a bonus bit to this podcast. So that's another good reason why you should subscribe.
If you go down there, Ricky, and then take some pictures and that sort of stuff, or do some audio bites, that'd be great if you've got time to do that. If not, that's fine too.
That's a great idea. I should record some audio and then play it in next week's show.
Exactly, yeah.
That'd be good.
And hopefully we can do another EV meet. We didn't do one this year, we did one last year, but hopefully we'll do another EV meets again and just get together and meet and greet with everybody and just show off their vehicles.
This is the NTEV podcast.
So let's do a quick whip around the nation and to see what's happening in the EV space. Here's what's making the headlines. In New South Wales, Fairfield is leading EV adoption in Western Sydney. This is quite interesting, Joe, because 63% of residents are keen to make the switch to an EV in the next 2 years. However, cost remains a barrier for many. What are those costs likely to be in your experience?
I think it's just mainly the fact that the vehicles are still quite expensive, knowing that they're still pushing out the high-end sort of sedans and also doing the SUV sort of models as such. With Western Sydney, it is a working class sort of area as such, and people tend to if they can get around Western Sydney and an affordable EV, that'd be great. It's just, I think it's availability. I mean, if you're going to drive in a ute, you want to have more variety out there, and just, I think it's, at the moment, not many people want to maybe drive in an Aura Cat or, GWM or, drive in a MG4 as such. It just need more variety as such, because those vehicles are hitting that 30k mark now, but they want to see those nice sedans, those nice SUVs, some vans getting close to that $30,000 mark. That's probably what they were looking to do. So once they know that the price is around that, then they'll probably go for it. I'm hoping that the bigger brands don't come to play. Maybe the Chinese will come in and say, hey, we've got this van here, hey, we've got this ute here, are you looking to buy our ute or our van as such?
Victoria recently scrapped its road user tax for EVs, refunding previously collected fees. This move could encourage more uptake and set a standard for other states. We got that from the ABC News. Do you think NT could benefit from a similar policy to encourage EV ownership?
I think they can, of course. I know that AEVA, Chris Jones, has actually had a chat with the Adelaide Drive about the situation. I've listened to them before, talking about it with Dr. Chris Jones, our president of AEVA. He doesn't mind a road tax subsidy as such, or some sort of fee. It's just you've got to introduce it in the right way. So we're not saying no to it. We actually do find that we need to do eventually pay for some sort of road cost, some sort of tax. Of course, they get that 44 cents, I think it is, was the ICE vehicles already with the engine combustion engines, but there's got to be some sort of way to monitor as such going forward. So we want to fix the roads in NT, or fix the roads that go elsewhere as well. So,
and in Queensland, a Tesla Cybertruck spotted at a Bunnings in Caloundra has sparked excitement. The sighting coincides with Bunnings' rollout of EV chargers in store, a step towards mainstream EVs. What do you think about Bunnings having the EV chargers? I think it's a good thing.
I think it's a great thing, because that way you got the initiative to go in there and grab your cables as such, or go in there and grab a Tesla Powerwall. Just bear in mind, if you are using any grants or incentives, just to check with the solar power company as such before you go ahead and purchase something like that, because at the same time you ought to make sure that it will fit the bill with going for a non-territory government grant and getting subsidised with that new battery incentive. But I think it's great. You have the ability to go in there and get a Tesla Powerwall 3, go in there, get a wall charger, or go there and get yourself some cables to charge for your level 2 as such, then go for it. Definitely a great initiative that Bunnings is doing.
So the Cybertruck, do you think that could we see vehicles like the Cybertruck fitting into the NT's unique landscape?
I definitely can, like this, especially in the territory. We're very out there, very funky about what we do.
Yeah.
So I definitely can see like a few people owning the Cybertruck and just like driving it for the heck of it, because I've got a Cybertruck, I want to buy a Cybertruck, this is what I've got to drive.
In South Australia, BP is rebranding ex-convenience service stations to include EV charging hubs. So this signals a push for traditional service stations to support both EVs and petrol vehicles. Joe, could petrol stations in the NT evolve into multi-purpose EV hubs like this?
I definitely think they can, actually. I think they could actually just decide where to place them as such, and probably some are already thinking about this already. I know that I've approached a few places already, just not actually petrol stations, just places that have taller facilities close by, because petrol stations are perfect because they've got places to go to eat. Some of them have got already got places that you can sit down and eat at a cafeteria as such, because they've got one on the side. And also there's toilets they can go to, and it's sometimes they might need to just charge for 15 to 20 minutes, and that's all they need. So I think it's all about just knowing that they're in a situation now that they can do all the right requirements before they can put an EV charger in there as such.
WA's EV network will soon feature 98 charging stations connecting remote regions to major hubs. Joe, what would it take to create a similar corridor in the NT? I know we're getting there, but we've still got a wee bit more to go.
Yeah, it's a tricky one here there, Ricky. This one here I've been trying to see from AEVA's point of view, and also from Tesla Club of Australia too in the Northern Territory, just to run some ideas and just to see what we can do. I think it's all about trying to see if we can find an investor that can help as such, and work with the federal government, also with the NT government, and see what we could do overall, because I do feel like there's plenty of roads off the beaten track that could definitely be using these chargers as such. You might want to go one day to drive over to Nhulunbuy and then take that highway over to Beswick as such, or you might want to go somewhere out in Litchfield National Park. It'd be great to have a few chargers out there, because there's not a lot of infrastructure after going past Bachelor. Or you want to go to Kakadu, you want to make sure that there's enough charging as such going there. So because there are a lot of places that you go off the beaten track for driving and that sort of stuff. So and as well, I've heard from people from fishers and that sort of stuff, fishermen, that it's a short term, we use fishers here. That's where we want to get those guys, either get into a PHEV or maybe eventually get into EV, and then start getting to places where they can, go to some sort of place they can charge. So we wanted to entice, places that, might have these chargers in place at this stage. So hopefully, EVs become more popular and it becomes a bit of a norm, and we meet that 50%, ownership in the Northern Territory. We start having those sort of questions. Well, maybe they'll come back to us and start to talk EVA or with Tesla Owner Club Australia to know, hey, where can we start having these conversations? And at this stage, it's probably early, but hopefully they will eventually come knocking at our door.
The ACT is leading EV adoption with over 80% of new car registrations being electric or hybrid. Strong government incentives and infrastructure make it a standout. We got that from the Canberra Times late last month. Joe, could the NT replicate, because I know you mentioned last week that the government itself has a good relationship with the ACT. Could the NT replicate the ACT's bold targets, or is it too early in our EV journey?
I think it's virtually is too early at this stage. I've always tried to be a big advocate, was trying to go out there and chat with the public and trying to get some interest. I get a lot of people laughing at me still, trying to explain, I wouldn't die, sitting in an EV as such, and I want to still live with my Land Cruiser, and then that's going to be there for my whole life. I think, as I mentioned before, that you got 33% of Territorians have 2 vehicles, and 16% of people in the non-territory have 3 vehicles. So I always say to eventually maybe you should try to make that second or third vehicle into an EV. I'm not saying that the people who just have 1 vehicle. It's just trying to help just to see what it's like living with an EV. I understand hybrids at the moment are getting exciting at the moment because they're just helping people save money on the fuel. But I think if you go fully electric, why not? That's going to help you as such. So if you've got 2, 3 or 4 or more in the family, try and bring an EV into the family. Bring the MG4 in, or bring the GW Aura in, and just give it a run and see how it's going to be like for your pocket at the end of the day with your expenses.
Kangaroo Stan, last week he had an interesting view on hybrids. Can we replay that? Let's just quickly replay that from last week's podcast.
I'm not a fan of them. Electric cars these days, if you've got 200 or 300 kilometres range, most people only do 40 or 50 Ks at most in a day anyway, so...
And finally here in the beautiful NT, the NT's new mobile EV charging van in Darwin offers on-the-spot battery top-ups to address range anxiety. Now, this is something that you've been involved with, isn't it? You've actually seen it in action. You were there with the guy from AANT, weren't you?
Oh, not myself. It was actually Randall Jones and Noddy Gay. Mm-hmm. They were both at the testing facility just over 6 weeks ago now. They actually went over to Randall's house and did some testing with both the CCS and CHAdeMO features for both. Randall's vehicle was his Porsche, and also was Noddy's vehicles was Nissan Leaf. So they were willingly thankful enough to help test that particularly charging station they've got. And it's all about trying to make sure that if someone falls short, somebody's middle Darwin somewhere, that they can't get a charge, and they just have so many things in their mind, and just 6 or 4%, and they're just I'm going to panic. I just didn't realise that I just didn't know that I'm under that 10% mark. There's warnings in the vehicle, of course, but some people might just not have their warnings as such, with their phones and with their watches. They probably just let it die until the very, very end. So it's very critical for electric vehicles to make sure that you're on top of things. It's not going to be an initiative that's going to be outside of Darwin. So if you're stuck somewhere in Katherine or stuck somewhere in Newlanbor and you've got ANT membership, they will eventually probably tow truck you to the nearest place that you can charge. So, and there's a lot of places in the territory these days. On the short highway, you can definitely find a place to charge.
This is the NTEV podcast.
So AEVA, if you get the chance, log on to the AEVA website. It's AEVA, just Google AEVA and you'll find out all the details. A few updates from articles that I've just grabbed from their website. Kia's EV5 is making waves with competitive pricing starting at nearly $57,000.
Looks like the old Kia Niro. It's actually a small kind of SUV, probably not as big as their Kia EV9 as such, but it's a moderately sized SUV. It's kind of very similar to, maybe smaller than a Santa Fe, a Hyundai Santa Fe as such, but it's just it's a kind of maybe the same sort of size as a BYD Atto 3 as such, just competing against that sort of range. So it's good price, a good competitive price. I know that I've spoken to Kia Darwin. They've told me about they're excited about having something that can go against a Tesla Model 3. I'm not too sure if this will go against the Tesla Model 3. It's probably going to go against like something like a MG ZS EV, or go against something like a BYD Atto 3 sort of market as such.
Hyundai's Insta Cross is all about adventure with rugged bumpers, skid plates, and 17-inch wheels. Perfect for off-roaders. So a good alignment with the NT. Joe, do you think this would appeal to NT drivers?
I think it will. If you've got a vehicle that can go off-roading, full driving, it's one of the big things that people always would, cater for. They always ask me, I want to take an EV off the road. I want to make sure they can, be compatible and actually be used, off the road. Because most of these EVs that are coming at this stage are not full drive compatible, or can't go two-wheel driving or four-wheel driving as such, off the beaten track. So you want them I'm not an expert on full driving as such. You probably can tell, but it's all about knowing that you can take a vehicle off-road, off a dirt road, off the beaten track, and making sure that you can make sure you can get to some places. Because some places in the territory, you go fishing, you got to go off like about 2 or 3 kilometres or maybe more off-roading, and you cannot take a sedan vehicle. I mean, I tried to take a sedan vehicle 20 years ago to Jim Falls or the Twin Falls over in Kakadu, and I knew once I went to just the campsite and just go past that, there was no way that my vehicle at the time could go any further, so I had to turn back. And unfortunately, I haven't gone to that area yet. Maybe one day I could take this particular vehicle over to then and reach that particular facilities over there at Jim or Twin Falls as such, and see the wonderful waterfalls and wonderful wateries over there.
So for the Hyundai's Insta Cross is what we're talking about. Pricing details have still yet to be confirmed. However, Hyundai aims to position the Insta lineup competitively with the growing affordability and of the EV market here in Australia. So I would imagine 55, 65k, something like that, maybe?
Yeah, something like that, maybe, if they're going to target as that. But, Hyundai is sometimes a little bit more expensive. They sometimes do hit the 70, 80 mark because they've got the name in Australia as such. One thing I just wanted to find out, if this is going to be a catch, if this is going to be we're going to see people because most of the time when you see like Rivian or other vehicles, they like to give it a bash and like to do a lot of YouTube videos. So I want to see people in Australia take this out and show what it can do and say, look what we can do, look what we can go up these heavy sort of tracks with so much rugged terrain and that sort of stuff. We want to see people testing it so they can show others and say, oh yeah, this can do that. Wonderful,
And I think we'll see more in the coming months.
This is the NTEV podcast.
So a thing that you love to watch, and that is the various light shows, and even just Christmas lights in general around people's homes across Palmerston, across Darwin. Are you one of those people that sits outside the house and watches it for 5 or 10 minutes, or are you one of those people?
Oh, definitely. If I see something that's someone's prepared themselves and put that effort into a nice Christmas, decoration in their house, I'd definitely stay out there and just look at what they're doing. Some of them actually have their tuned into their FM station to listen to what their music they're showing and such, which is a great bonus as well, sort of thing. But having an electric vehicle, why not? Why don't you just go to these places? That's one of the things you don't feel guilty about. Just driving around Palmerston, Darwin, anywhere rural as well. At it Howard Springs or Humpty Doo. They're getting more and more people putting these light shows on. So when I go, as a word, I say EVing. What I mean by that is just driving, on the evenings and then go visit these sort of places and appreciate what they do. These people putting these decorations up on their houses.
Some people spend weeks doing the wiring, it's almost like choreography. It's like everything's in sync.
If you go to the one that's added, I think it's 8 Charles Street in Shore Park, they've just made it into a winter wonderland, their own house. It's just amazing.
Okay, so if you're at McDonald's, because everyone knows where Macca's is, if you're at McDonald's, where would you go to from McDonald's in Shore Park?
Straight down to McDonald's and you turn into the Shore Park shopping centre, and then on the roundabout, after you do the traffic lights, you go down the roundabout, then you take a left, keep going down, and you'll see Charles Street, another roundabout, and just turn right into there. You can't miss it. It'll be on the house on that right-hand side.
Is it operational at the moment?
It's operational every night, at the moment.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Except if it's raining, they probably won't do anything for the night because it's just for safety reasons. But if it's a nice, clear day, they've already got it up already. We went there on the last weekend.
If you're EVing down, is it East Point Road? You kind of go off there just before you get to the Fanny Bay Coast spot. and I call it Billionaires Row. You see all the beautiful homes in Fanny Bay. Is that East Point Road?
That's East Point Road, yeah.
Some of them houses, if somebody wanted to put Christmas decorations, that would just be the icing on the cake, because you've got a beautiful, large, majestic homes that you could put an amazing light show there.
You've got to be in the effort to do it as such. If you're not like motivated to do it, they won't do it. But I definitely, I've seen like houses in Palmerston, like their neighbours copying the other people's neighbours and such. There's actually a street over in Norcross that like 4 or 5 houses in one street have just gone into that Christmas mood. So that's another place to look at too. I've always been a fan myself. For the last 5-6 years, I've always been into the habit of trying to like look for these houses and enjoying what people do,
Joe, thanks for joining us for podcast number 2.
Thank you for inviting me, Ricky, and I really appreciate the effort you put into putting these podcasts together, because, it was a dream of mine trying to do something like a year or 2 ago, but I just didn't know like how to go about it as such. I've always got that, background in doing like videos, because I used to be like a camera and doing sound and editing as such, but I've always been sort of like passionate to do something like this, and I do appreciate the time that you put in to do this.
Joe, thank you. We'll look forward to catching up next week.
Yeah, definitely. Likewise.
Stay charged and keep driving electric. See you next time.